YouTube channel and made available on our website. If you don't wish for your audio to be included in the recording, please stay muted, and then feel free to ask any questions in the chat. Awesome. Okay, so today we're here really kind of to talk about what I think is a really, really exciting topic around AI and then also kind of bid management and proposal management. So we've got a number of speakers here on the call today. So myself, Gavi Thathor, I'm the head of commercial response here at Transparity. Most of my role is related to bid management, so I lead a lot of our bid management activities here, and then support our sellers in in responding to bids and tenders. We also have Jodie Rogers, who is our Chief AI Officer at Transparity. Jodie's been with the organization for just coming up to a year now and has worked for a number of other kind of hyperscalers and organizations, and really is kind of leading the forefront in terms of Transparity's go-to-market strategy around AI and supporting customers on their AI journey. And we also have the amazing Chris Carter, who's the founder of Win Every Proposal. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here will be familiar with Chris, and I kind of deem her as the oracle in all things bids and proposals at the moment. So she'll be kind of talking through her perspective as well. So today we're going to be talking about the AI opportunity, just kind of, at a wider kind of viewpoint, and Jodie will be kind of teeing that off. And then Chris will step in and provide more of a bid management landscape around AI and the art of the possible, and also kind of what she's been hearing out there from her peers and other organizations. And then I'll be kind of introducing and providing a demo of the Bid Management AI Solution Accelerator that we have built. And that will be a live demo. And we'll also share a customer example, a case study from BMT as well. And then there'll be some next steps kind of as we move forward. So just before we jump in, I just wanted to kind of give you all an introduction to Transparity, just in case you've not come across us before. So we're a Microsoft pure play partner, founded in 2015. So we have been kind of around now for the last 10 years or so. We're one of the UK's most accredited managed service provider. We hold all six Microsoft partner designations and Azure Expert MSP status. We also hold 16 advanced specializations and are a member of the Microsoft Intelligent Security Association, otherwise known as MESA, just again highlighting some of our capability around security and experience. And so what we do is we kind of work with organizations, really kind of helping them leverage and get that maximum return on their Microsoft investments. And then I will kind of, as we move forward, so I'll hand over to Jodie.
Thanks, Gavi. Now, before we do dive into that exciting topic of bid management specifically, I really just wanted to take 5 minutes to kind of level set on the AI landscape more broadly, and then how we at Transparity are helping our clients on this kind of AI journey. So first of all, I always like to level set with the statement, AI is not anything new, which I'm sure you're all aware of. It was actually founded back in 1956 in Dartmouth, and organizations have been using techniques of AI like machine learning for decades. But what is relatively new since the launch of ChatGPT in November 2022 is this transition to generative AI. And this technique has moved us on from just being able to analyze data and make predictions to actually being able to generate new content. What we've seen with Gen AI is that the user interface for AI itself has evolved so much that you can now intuitively interact with AI as if you were having a conversation with your friends and family, meaning that that kind of barrier to entry is a lot lower. It's become commoditized, and we've seen that it's now really broken through with consumers. People are now using generative AI in their everyday life, whether that's to kind of generate meal recipe ideas, get personalized recommendations for when they're visiting a new city, or just to kind of understand complicated topics and be able to ask questions. Because people are now using it in their personal lives, we're seeing that employees are wanting to consume these AI experiences in the tools that they use every day at work. And your customers will also come to expect AI capabilities in the services that you're offering. Now, I truly believe that this is going to be one of the most exciting shifts of our generation. And we've really seen that AI has now become a board level discussion. So we're helping our clients to really figure out how they can get started on this AI journey and really infuse AI across their entire organization. One of the most common misbeliefs that I hear most days is that AI and the adoption of AI is just about technology. When actually this can't be further from the truth. It's really much more about people and processes. And we've seen that to successfully derive kind of sustainable long-term business value from data and AI, organizations really need to actually focus on these 5 different pillars of readiness. The first one is really around your organization and your culture. So as a business, what are your long-term ambitions? Where are you now? But where do you also want to be in 3, 5 years' time? And then it's about how AI can actually help you achieve that rather than, AI being a standalone strategy itself. And as part of this leadership vision, it's thinking about what changes you then need to make to your operating model, your resources, and your company culture to actually enable this growth mindset and encourage continuous learning through exec sponsorship as well. So we know with AI, it's not going to kind of be one and done, but you're going to have to kind of have this culture of continuous learning to try, experiment, fail, and iterate. Next is about your business strategy. So then how does AI actually support those business goals and objectives? And how does it support delivering on those outcomes that you're looking to achieve? And this is really through prioritizing business use cases that are going to add value. And again, making sure that it's aligned to what you're trying to achieve rather than it being completely siloed. Then it's AI experience, and this is around what AI expertise do you need to be able to create standardized, repeatable processes so that you can actually measure the value that you're delivering with AI. A lot of this is to do with AI skills and your AI literacy within your organization, and we know that AI skills is one of the biggest global adoption blockers. So this is also thinking about where do you want to buy off the shelf? We're seeing that AI is now being infused into loads of different product offerings. Where do you actually want to look to upskill internally so that you can build solutions? And then where would you like to kind of partner with organizations like Transparity to help you go on that journey? Next is data and AI governance, and this is really around what are the processes, controls, and accountability structures that you need to put in place so that you can govern things like data privacy, security, to enable the responsible and ethical use of AI. And this is where we see AI policy is now a huge topic of conversation. And then finally, it's really looking at your technology and your data strategy. So making sure that your technology foundation is in order to actually be able to take advantage of AI. And we're seeing that data quality has become more important than ever before to enable kind of successful AI. And it's really that classic case of if you're putting rubbish in, you're going to be getting rubbish out. And we appreciate that this can be quite overwhelming. There's a lot to kind of keep on top of with AI. So what we are typically seeing is that organizations are getting started with identifying and kind of prioritizing those use cases. So it really doesn't make sense to just invest in AI for the sake of it or to use technology for kind of technology's sake. You really need to think about what are those core objectives, challenges, and opportunities across your organization, whether that's customer satisfaction, operational efficiency, or kind of looking at market expansion. And then you consider how could AI actually help you to accelerate those goals. It's also not just about fitting AI into your existing processes. It's really about actually reimagining what those processes could look like if you didn't have the red tape, if you could start from scratch. So I'm not saying that AI is magic or a silver bullet, but it is a catalyst to really reimagine how you're doing things on the day-to-day basis. And we're seeing that AI is being a catalyst across these kind of 4 distinct areas. So first of all, enriching your employee experiences. And this is all around how AI can help improve your employee productivity and also their well-being. So whether that's through automating the mundane tasks so that they can focus on higher value activities, or actually just being able to offer them access to more personalized insights and the data that they need to actually be able to thrive in their job. Next, it's really looking at how you can reimagine that customer service and customer engagement. And we're seeing that AI really is reinventing customer experiences through kind of 24/7 self-service options, but also by providing much more personalized engagements, recommendations, next best actions, that type of thing. Third, it's really looking at how AI can actually reshape your business processes. And typically this is through process automation. We're hearing the term AI agents a lot more now, and this is really around how AI agents can actually help you to retrieve information, complete tasks, and actually just also complete things autonomously. And we're seeing that this is really popular also within kind of supply chain optimization as well. And then finally, AI can also kind of help with that competitor advantage. So it can really accelerate your ability to actually innovate, empower your research and development or your product and engineering teams by giving them access to deeper knowledge, insights, market trends, but also having AI kind of baked into the development tools that they're using so that they can self-learn and also kind of continuously improve. So to help organizations on this kind of end-to-end journey, we're at Transparity, we're really supporting with AI strategy. And this is everything from understanding what that vision is, through to supporting with your change management needs for the successful adoption of AI, helping you to build out your AI foundations. So we run a lot of in-person envisioning workshops across different departments to really help with identifying what those challenges and opportunities are and prioritizing them. Are they feasible? You know, can you measure the success of those? Are they actually going to provide you with sustainable value so that you're going to see the return on investment there? And as part of this engagement, we also look at whether there's any additional needs to get ready for AI in terms of things like hardening your landing zones within the cloud. And then this will basically form a prioritized roadmap of the use cases and the prerequisites that you need to do to kind of go on that journey. Once we understand your use cases, your functional requirements, we then work with our clients to actually help them to design their AI solutions or to help them leverage out of the box solutions like the Bid Management Solution Accelerator that we're going to be showcasing today. And then finally, we also support our clients with the ongoing maintenance and management and governance of these solutions to ensure that they're kept up to date with the latest models, but also that they're working as expected, they're responsible, they're ethical, and they're also secure. So hopefully this has helped to just set the scene a little bit in terms of how we think about AI deployment and adoption more widely. And I'm now going to hand you over to Chris, who's going to cover off the landscape for bid management and how AI is already being leveraged as a part of that. So over to you, Chris.
Hey everyone. Yeah, like Gobi said, I'm Chris Carter, and I want to talk to you about how AI is transforming the way we manage bids and RFPs. And hopefully, like this little segment I have gives you a clear picture of what AI is solving now in our bid space and what is coming next. So just really quickly, I know Gavi introduced me, but I've led bid and bid strategy at AWS, Zendesk, and Instructure. So these days now, though, I work with companies who want to win more bids, waste less time, and build smarter bid teams. And I'm coming across kind of the same problems everywhere. And that is most companies I work with are feeling some sort of combination of overworked, under-resourced, or they're just not winning as much as they want to be or should be. And these aren't like tiny startups or anything. These are usually enterprise software companies. So you think that they would have like really cutting edge ideas and processes, but under the surface, a lot of times these bid processes are kind of being held together with tape, and their content's often in shared drives. And so I really try and go in there and make sure that we can help solve their problems with technology, and AI is a huge part of that. And so the problem that I think that a lot of us are seeing with RFPs more than ever before is we are seeing more RFPs, we're receiving more RFPs year over year. We're receiving more questionnaires, like security questionnaires year over year. And not only that, but they're longer. So the RFPs have more questions, the security questionnaires have more questions. And so we basically our workload has really increased, more RFPs, they're longer. And not only that, but our competitors, well, there are more of them in every single RFP now, especially if you are in the public sector. So before you might have been going up against 10 or 15, now you're going up against like twice that many. So it's a harder competition. But here's where I see AI and bid management either helping us stand out from that competition whilst tackling the larger bid volume. And what I'm seeing right now is that a lot of first generation, like a breakthrough technology like AI, is usually all about that efficiency, right? Like every single ad I've seen about AI for bid technology and other has all been about like time saved or productivity or efficiency. But I think like those of us, like all of us basically in this room, we're in bids. And we know that submitting more and faster is not actually how you win more business or win more revenue. That's just like a hedonic treadmill of that like leads to nowhere. So actually like it's even worse than that. Like so HBR just barely put out I think it was a report last month that said something like 80% or more of customers are less likely to buy from vendors that provide them with generic or obviously AI generated content. So like if we are submitting more proposals or more bids with really generic AI generated content, they're not going to buy from us and they're going to think less of us, which is exactly the opposite of what we want to do when we are submitting our bids. So if submitting more bids with AI is actually hurting us, like the generic AI, and making our most coveted customers less likely to ever work with us, of course, we want to use AI in a smarter way. So us bid professionals, we know that submitting bids, we have a lot higher chance of winning if our bids are higher quality, and that's how we can win our customers and drive more revenue. So I think that's where this next generation of AI comes in. It isn't about mindless efficiency. It's not about doing more faster. It's about strategic quality. And we kind of see this in history all the time. Like if you look at like the Industrial Revolution, for example, or like the internet when it came out, or computers, the first few years were all about like efficiency, but now like right a few years after that, it all became about quality, and we're kind of seeing that with AI now, the AI tools that are coming out. So like I was saying, we're receiving across industries like healthcare, finance, tech, which is like what I'm most interested in, what I work with most. More RFPs and ITTs, we're seeing more of them than ever before, but I'm not seeing people respond to more of them than ever before, at least the people who have like high win rates. And I think that's where this next generation of AI is really coming in. AI is great at looking at large data sets, and therefore is great at helping us know what we have a chance of winning and what we have a chance, or what we don't have a chance of winning, what like we're going to lose, and therefore helping us make smarter bidding decisions. And that like I think Gavi is going to show you that today. You can qualify so much smarter with AI instead of like you're going into that qualification call with all your sales leaders and they like really want to go for the RFP because it has a really large contract value, or maybe the logo is really cool. That doesn't help you win. Just because you want to win something doesn't mean you're going to. AI is really, really good at getting rid of that bias and just looking at that data of if you can win and if you can't. What else am I saying? So I'm also seeing target account lists that go through. So basically, if we are trying to create a target account list or trying to do capture management, if you do any of that, or if you're just researching a customer before you write your bids, which we all know we should be doing, that diligent research on our customers takes at least me days, because I'm usually looking for like company accounts, financial reports, FOIAs, podcast leadership, or podcasts that leaderships have been on, hiring data, CRM content, recorded customer calls. Like there is so much data on our customers that we have to research to then really synthesize and personalize our bids. And AI can do that in minutes. So it's really, really nice to be able to use strategically to create really personalized bids for our customers, which goes back to the HBR report that shows if our customers are receiving really obviously generic or AI generated content, they don't like us, they're not going to choose us. But if we use AI really strategically on what to bid and then personalize our content, that's how we win, right? What else? It can also help us be smarter about knowledge management. So I know like a lot of the times with if you're using like a knowledge management tool right now, like the first generation of AI or before, our tools are really using AI. You probably had Q&A pairs, you probably had to tag a bunch. That really isn't needed so much with AI anymore. So if you're one of those people who is doing like knowledge management on your weekends or your evenings, you can probably get rid of that, which is wonderful. So one thing that I'm hearing on repeat is we're not qualifying, like when I talk with my customers, I'm hearing we're not qualifying bids properly. We're saying yes to things we shouldn't be. Then we're scrambling and spending late nights on these bids that we're never going to win, not going to bring us revenue. We're chasing SMEs for answers. So it's really, really hard to get these really busy subject matter experts to respond to RFPs or give us answers. And if they do, they're not always the highest quality because it's rushed, or maybe they're not good writers, which is fine. And here's the really big one is the average RFP now involves 9 contributors within a company. And a lot of people don't even have bid managers to help with that. So it's big. I see there are a lot of like questions. Hopefully, Govi or Jody, let me know if I need to answer any of them. Let me think. What else should I really highlight here? So what can AI solve right now? It's kind of what I was talking about. AI is already doing a ton today in the real world for teams in tech, finance, and healthcare. The first is going to be speed. Of course, speed is important, like that first generation of AI was doing. Like a lot of people are seeing between 30 and 40% faster turnaround. And that's not just shaving off hours, that's turning like weeks of work into days of work, which is amazing for those of us who have been overworked. And one thing that I didn't put on here because it's kind of new, like I just read a report about it last night, is the standard model of AI productivity tool may be too limiting. So today's AI can function as a kind of like a teammate for us, offering better performance, expertise sharing, and even positive emotional experiences. And yeah, like positive emotional experiences, you probably don't think about that when you're trying to bring in AI. Like it can make you happier. So Ethan Mollick, he just ran an experiment with Procter and Gamble, and he just published it today, which is why this is new and not in this PowerPoint. But they did it with almost 1,000 professionals solving real business problems. So like what we as bid managers are doing on a daily basis. And they found that individuals randomly assigned, it's like just one person is assigned with AI. They did as well as a team with 2 people without using AI. But the AI augmented teams produced more exceptional solutions and they were actually happier. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to bring in AI. The third thing is they have higher win rates, which of course like we all want. And the fourth is it gives us more time for strategic work. So GitLab, their software engineers are using a tool built from Claude AI to draft responses. And their team said they feel more likely to take on complex tasks because the grunt work is gone, which is huge. Like we want that as bid writers too. So I'm all about that. I kind of went over this slide already, so apologies. The limitations that I really see for us as bid managers with AI is, of course, like the human touch. Like the Procter and Gamble example didn't have just AI. It needed a human with AI to make things really work and to be good. Like if we see so many times where, especially in the past year, where we've seen people or leaders lay off like marketing teams or software engineers because they or SDRs even because they thought they could completely replace them with AI. And that quickly went really poorly for them. And so they had to rehire these people. And so humans are still very, very much needed. It's like that Ethan Mollick case where it's our assistant, but it needs us just as much as we probably need it. Another thing is data security, and of course change management, which Jody already went over, so I won't like bore you with that. But of course, like a lot of bid professionals are afraid that it's going to take their job. But I like to see it as like when Excel came out, like accountants didn't stop existing. They just were able to use something that helped them work a little bit faster and a little bit better. Yeah, my next slide. So the future trends, what's next for AI? Now, Jody knows this better than I do, but for us bid professionals, this is where I think things get really exciting for us. LLMs, we already know that they are good at writing the first draft of content, right? We already know they're good at looking at that data and helping us qualify. But I think the really exciting thing that's next coming out is large action models or LAMs because they're built to act. So instead of just request or suggesting what to do. A large action model, or LAM, would actually pull data from internal systems, like from your CRM, like automatically, like it does it for you. It's going to fill out your compliance forms. It's going to attach the documents when you have to submit something, or even submit the bid through a client's portal for you. And I know some people hear that, they get scared, but I don't think your company hired you to send emails or attach things. They hired you for your strategic thinking and your ability to submit really winning bids, not like those kind of boring actions. And I'm trying to think, like, I just read, I know I'm talking about HBR a lot, Harvard Business Review, but I love it. But it talks about AI a lot. And one thing it recently said is, sales is primed to quickly become a leader of adopter in generative AI. AI-powered systems are on the way to become every salesperson or bid person's indispensable digital assistant. So please think of it that way. And Challenger Inc. puts it really bluntly. This is one of my favorite quotes. These tools don't just save time, they increase revenue intelligence. And so they also warn, like in that same report, that if we're not, how do I say this? If they are sprinkling AI in here and there without strategy, you're going to fall behind. So you can use, like, it's kind of what Jody was talking about. If you use AI really strategically and on purpose, like you're going to be ahead of your competitors. So really quick recap before I hand it over to Gopi. I want to zoom out for a sec. Bid teams, we are doing too much. We have more RFPs than ever before. They're longer than they've ever been. So we need to use AI to be able to qualify in a really intelligent way. LLMs are going to help. The ROI is real. LAMs, large action models, are what's coming next. And once again, it's going to be a game changer. It genuinely is. And AI in bids is moving from that cool tech that's fun to play with to a business necessity, whether we want it to or not, like I personally do. But just be aware that that's just what's happening. And what I believe is, if you get the process right and you support it with the right AI tools, you can fix most of your bid problems, from burnout to bid losses. And yeah, that's me. I'm sorry, I tried to go through that really fast, so I spoke really quickly, but hopefully that covers everything, and I'll hand it over.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Chris. Yes, any questions you have for Chris, yeah, please feel free to use the chat as well, and drop them in, and we'll try and address them as we kind of go through. So I'm going to kind of now move on to the actual AI Bid Accelerator. So I'll give you a bit of background, I guess, to kind of how we got here. So I mentioned earlier on that I joined Transparity about just coming up to a year ago. So, I've worked in a number of different organizations where I've kind of ended up being the first person doing the role in the department that I sit in. So, for example, when I joined AWS before I was at Transparity, I was the first bid manager in EMEA, who was supporting the sales teams. And at Transparity, it's again has been the same kind of story and situation where, I was the first person coming in through the door doing this particular role. And the idea is I typically kind of bring in, my tried and trusted methodologies. A lot of them are kind of APMP based. And implement them and then use them and then kind of, just do what I'm always doing. But actually, when I joined Transparity, I kind of realized, and I was a bit fortunate, that I had some very, very intelligent and clever people kind of around me. And, I've explored and thought about how AI can help me in my day to day. And so by working with the likes of Jody, our app innovation team, and our AI practices, we built something as a tool, and I'm going to be really shameless about this. The initial objective for me was very shamelessly to basically help me do my job or make my life a little bit easier. So we built a tool really kind of for internal use. But as we were going through the development process, I actually realized some of the challenges that this tool is going to kind of help me overcome. There are also challenges that I am aware that my peers are facing, throughout, both the tech industry, but then also other industries and other verticals that kind of, bid and proposal folk find themselves in. And so, we've really kind of created a solution, and we say it's created by bid managers for bid managers. So, the development and the challenges that we were trying to overcome were kind of driven by myself, but then also kind of by me speaking to some of my peers. And then the idea is, and the reason we have called this a solution accelerator, is we've created what we call a kind of a customizable starting point. in a tool that basically you can build upon and then tailor as per your requirements. So what you're going to see here is slightly different to what you may have seen elsewhere. So this isn't a SaaS-based tool. It's very much we provide a starting point and you build on top of it, because I'm very much aware that organizations have very unique challenges and requirements around their bidding process. And so we kind of wanted to make sure we factored that in as well. And just kind of before I jump into the demo itself, just to give you a bit of an overview of the solution. So there are a number of use cases that the solution can help with right now, and I'm going to kind of talk them through and also provide a bit of a demo, but just at a very high level. So, you're able to create compelling content using multiple content sources. So, pulling together all of that great content that you kind of have across your organization at the moment. The ability to be able to customize that content based on different profiles or personas. I'm going to get into that in a bit more detail in the demo. But the idea is when you're leveraging the solution accelerator, it's not just able to write in one voice, but actually write in multiple voices. So for example, you'll have personas for specific SMEs, for doing certain tasks, and everything has kind of a different writing style attached to it. So we've put in that kind of ability to be able to customize the tool to make it really kind of give you what you need. It also has the ability and does provide feedback to improving RFP answers. And that's using the customer's own scoring criteria. So again, it's not just about generating content, but actually it's about building in AI into your review process and then being able to improve those responses without necessarily kind of having to always go back to your SME as well. The other thing to highlight is, so the solution is installed in your own secure Azure environment. So there's no data leakage and you really control your data to residency. So again, this kind of goes back to the point around this isn't a SaaS-based tool. So we very much deploy this within your own environment and you have complete control of your own data. And I think that is really, really important for a lot of organizations who, for example, operate in the public sector domain where, bid content is just extremely sensitive and you sometimes have to be very wary about where you're uploading some of your data. And then also, again, this is as it's not a SaaS-based solution, so we offer a flexible pricing model. So there is a fixed monthly retainer. However, we do not provide this on a per user per month license basis. So you have there's an unlimited amount of users that can utilize the tool once it's installed within your own tenant. And really what you pay for is the Azure consumption, that underpins, I guess, the tool itself. Okay. And so now I'm going to start moving into actually showing you how the tool works. So you're going to see me kind of moving left and right just because I've got the tool up on my right-hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share screen and you'll see kind of how this all kind of comes together now. Now, this is the user interface of the tool today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just step through the setup of the tool and then kind of show you how it all works. It may seem a bit confusing for the first few minutes, but I promise it does kind of all come together. So, this is the user interface of the tool at the moment. So we have a bar down here. So, we have chat functionality that works very much like, your traditional kind of ChatGPT style chat. We have content generation. And that's where you're really going to be working in generating content. Template manager, that's kind of the creation of those personas, and I'll get to that in a second. And then the resource repository. So I'm going to start with the resource repository. So when I joined, and again, this is very much kind of, how I'm using the tool day in and day out here. So when I first joined Transparity, the first thing I had to do was really do a complete content audit of all of, the content that we had across the organization. So I looked at and I spoke to a lot of our sellers to understand, and have them share with me the latest and greatest proposals and RFP responses that they'd submitted over the last 6 to 12 months. As they sent them through to me, I went through them, reviewed them, sanitized them, just to make sure that all the information was kind of up to date and correct, and kind of collated all of that information. So all of those now are sitting in this resource repository. On top of that, I spoke to, teams like our marketing team and collated things like pitch decks. We have these things called one pages, which are infamous in Transparity, where we highlight a lot of our kind of services and offerings on a single page. So I collated all of those, and they are sitting within the resource repository as well. And Chris kind of touched on this earlier on, but we increasingly are given additional work on top of bids just because we as a team tend to collate all of this type of information. So I've got all of our policy documents from across our organization sitting within the resource repository as well to help us be able to answer some of those frankly horrendous supplier onboarding forms that we end up having to answer. So, I've got things like our health and safety policies, our information security policies, our general kind of work policies. I think there's about 50 policies all in that are sitting within the resource repository as well. So we have that. The other thing that I've also done is, and we have the ability to do in the tool, is add links to specific websites and website pages. So I have within the resource repository links to certain pages on our own Transparity website. So, our landing pages for our practice areas, and then also kind of our more, I guess, commonly kind of proposed service offering pages as well from our website. I also have links to our case studies page. So all of the case studies that are sitting within the website are kind of pulled into the tool. So now what we've got a really strong picture of a ton of content, so hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents, hundreds of documents, links to websites. I've got some spreadsheets in here as well, which I've kind of captured, that the more commonly asked for type of information, again, for those supplier forms. So those are in there as well. I've not had to tag anything. So there are no naming conventions for any of the files. It is just, straight upload in there. The only thing that is important, and I think, and Jodie mentioned this earlier on, is, it's the quality of data that you put in drives the quality of data you get out. So what is really, really important is making sure that actually what you're putting in is, of high quality and is, it is correct and up to date. That's really, really important. But otherwise, there is nothing you need to do as the admin in terms of kind of getting the data in there. So now what we've done is we've got a nice kind of library of content sitting within the resource repository. And then we move to the template manager. And this is the template manager. And the way I kind of describe templates, and I've said it a little bit already on the call, is think of a template almost as a persona in your organization that does a specific task. So we have created templates to do certain things. And the reason we do that, and we don't have just one generic thing, is, and it will start making sense, is, there are certain tasks that we do that just require more effort and more finesse. So for example, if you're writing an executive summary, that executive summary, you want it to be persuasive. You want it to be able to highlight your differentiators. You want it to be able to talk to your customers' objectives and what they're trying to achieve. And you want to be able to also tell, in that executive summary, and provide a rough overview of actually what you're going to be proposing in the rest of your proposal. So that's writing an exec summary. However, if you're completing a compliance questionnaire, you don't really need any of that. Not fluff, that's probably the wrong way to phrase it, but you don't need a lot of the additional kind of, persuasive language that you may have in an executive summary. A customer has typically given you a set of very prescriptive questions, sometimes 200-300 questions, and all they want is the factual answer. So actually you want the AI just to say, get straight to the point and give me the answer. And that's why we have templates, because we can predefine and tell the AI how to write for a specific task without the end user having to do that. And if I go in, and I'll give you an example now. So for our executive summary writer template, if I click in, what you'll see is, so this is the user interface here. Now, if I click into inputs, so while we had all the information kind of within the resource repository, what we don't want to do is overload the AI every single time and give it all of the information that's sat within the resource repository for it to draw on every time you want it to write a piece of content. So for the executive summary writer template, in the inputs, I've selected the documents that I think are most relevant to writing an executive summary. So in here, I've got previously submitted proposals where I know we have strong executive summaries. I've got some service definition documents, just so the AI can understand really what we're proposing as well. And that's kind of it. And then also some links to some of our website pages as well. So now we've selected the relevant documents for that template. And now in the prompt, so we predefine in the template what the AI is prompted to do. So for the executive summary writer, for example, the prompt is, you are a skilled business writer with a strong background in creating compelling executive summaries that capture the essence of a company's vision, mission, and strategic objectives. Your expertise lies in synthesizing information from various sources, particularly company websites, to craft summaries that resonate with stakeholders and convey key messages effectively. I've then also told the AI that I want to be able to structure the executive summary in these 4 headings. Now, I've also given it some additional instructions. So, for example, number 1 is write in UK English, because AI is, natively written in American English, and I think we've got, mainly kind of customers here, or people here from British companies. So, Chris, sorry, and I know that for you, you probably like the American English. It makes it feel like you're at home, but we want it to really kind of have that UK flavor. In addition, we at Transparity have a brand guidelines and tone of voice document. We typically give that to copywriters who may come in, or any contractors that may work with us, so they can understand and have a guide in terms of the Transparity way of writing. We've actually uploaded that document within the resource repository. I'm telling the AI here, as you write, keep in mind the tone should reflect this particular document. So the AI is going to start really writing in that Transparity way. And then again, just some additional instructions here where I think, which I think are important for writing an executive summary. Now, these are just the instructions I've given our instance of this particular template. These are fully customizable. So, every organization may write in a slightly different way, might have slightly different way that they want to, present their executive summaries. So the idea is you use these instructions to really be able to kind of, help you craft that more personalized and customized AI content. So that's the executive summary template. Now, on the flip side, if I show you, for example, the compliance form template, you'll see it's a little bit different. And this is kind of how we're trying to get the AI to operate in different ways. So if I select the inputs, what you'll see here is I've got some proposals in here where we've had to respond to some, supplier type questionnaires. But then really where it's drawing a lot of the information from is, all of these policy documents that we regularly get asked for. So, those are all in there as well. And the prompt for a compliance form writer is a bit different. You'll see it's not as, I guess, detailed, just because it doesn't need to be. So the AI context for this is you're an attentive customer service representative with extensive experience in handling supplier information requests. You excel at providing clear, concise, and factual responses to customer inquiries, ensuring accuracy and relevance while maintaining a professional tone. And then again, I've just given it some additional instructions here as well. So, we haven't added any of that, additional flavor around, highlighting differentiators or so on and so forth. Really, we're just telling the AI, answer the question and just be super factual. So we've got templates that do a number of different things that we've set up across the tool. And I know Chris mentioned, the ability to be able to qualify. So we've not actually set this template up right now, but I'm working towards it. But so we have the ability to be able to set up a template to help us qualify an RFP. So what we could do is, once we have all of our service descriptions ready for the tool and sitting within the tool, we can take the customer's RFP, upload it, and then ask it to kind of marry up and qualify the opportunity against that customer's criteria, and then also against our capability, and it will give us a qualification score. So that's something that we're going to be developing over the next couple of weeks. So as we kind of move forward, we'll be able to kind of provide demos on that as well. And so, yeah, so now what we've done is, so just to remind you, so we've got a load of information in our resource repository, and we've created a ton of templates to be able to do specific tasks. And now we want to start using those templates and generate some content. So if I click on content generation, this page pops up, and then you'll see here on this drop down all of our templates that we've prepared. So I am going to now just select this compliance form template and hit content generation. And so what will happen now is it will load up the blank template. Now, sitting behind this, it's all of the instructions that we've given the AI, is all of the information from the resource repository. But at the end, as the end user, you don't see that. You don't need to see it. The only thing you need to be worried about is, here are the questions that need to be answered, and you can just pop them in here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be brave and actually do this live. So this is a previous supplier form that I've sanitized from customer information, but this form had about 300 questions in, and we were asked by a supplier after we had won a bid, oh, by the way, can you also complete this, and can you try and get it done in the next 3 days? So there were about 300 questions in here. Now, typically, even me knowing where to go and find all of the information for this type of kind of questionnaire, it would take me about 2 to 3 days to be able to, go in, read the questions, generate the responses and write them up. But actually, by using the tool, I was able to get this all done in the space of about 2 hours. And you can see there, I've put in 4 questions and it's given me 4 answers to those tools. And the other thing is, you can also see under the citations, where it's pulling in that information from and which files it's using within the resource repository. So by leveraging the tool, and this is a bit more of a kind of a basic way of using the tool, but we were able to kind of save a ton of time and actually turn this around within a couple of hours. So that's the ability to be able to kind of generate content very quickly using that resource repository. Now I want to move into something a little bit more exciting. Not that supplier forms aren't exciting, but I kind of showed you earlier on that we have that template to write executive summaries. So, and I've been debating how to do this, because actually what I find is that showing a real life example really kind of brings the tool to life. So I'm going to kind of shift in and out of the tool, but then also just back to the PowerPoint deck, because actually I want to show you a real life executive summary that we've created, but I've just kind of taken out the customer's name. So when you load up the executive summary template, what will happen is you get given, I'm just going to minimize this for a second. So you get given this box. So as the end user, what you need to do is, so you type in the customer's name. And so in this case, we had a council's RFP that we were responding to, and they were looking for an AI partner. So you type in the customer's name there. And then I've pre-built the template to say, okay, now as the end user, I want you to key in the customer's key objectives. So this customer was seeking to engage an AI partner to accelerate their AI understanding, skills, knowledge through the prompt delivery of AI initiatives and projects. And then target audience. So I've again, in the template, asked the end user to put in who we think is going to be reading the document, because actually then the AI will tailor the type of writing it's providing, for that particular persona. So in this instance, I put in CIO, CTO. And then specific areas of focus. So again, just as the end user, I've typed in, what are the key things that I want the AI to focus on when writing the executive summary. Now, so we've got that in there, but actually where we can really start adding, more color and more information to the executive summary is, while we've got all the information sitting within the repository and also sitting behind the template, we have the ability to be able to upload additional documents to that template to be able to create that compelling, personalized content. So for example, for this executive summary, I've added links to the customer's vision and values page from their website. So the AI is going to be drawing information from there. The customer also has a vision for what they want to achieve by 2030, and they have a whole page dedicated to it on their website. So I've added that on there as well. And then also, a page around their organization strategy. In addition to that, I've uploaded the RFQ that they had issued. And then I've also added and uploaded our response minus an executive summary. So the AI can see actually what we're proposing, and so it can draw from that information. So that took me, doing a bit of research, going online, doing some Googling, probably took me about 20 minutes to kind of pull together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop sharing, and I'm going to just bring up the PowerPoint again, because then that will start and I'll show you, what it was able to generate. So if I share Teams. Yeah, sorry, give me 2 seconds. Let me just get to where I need to get to. Okay, so I've kind of, you can see I've kind of cut some of the information out, but really what I wanted to do is highlight. So once I've hit that generate content like I did before, I had those questions, you can see it's been able to pull together that first draft of an executive summary, and it's using those 4 headings that I kind of predefined in the template itself. So I'm not going to read it all out, but I think, you know, if I just look at that first paragraph, so our understanding of your business and current aspirations. So I'll just quickly read this, because actually this is kind of, you know, where it's pulling in that information from the RFQ, from the customer's website, and then also kind of from our own resource repository as well. So at Transparity, we have taken the time to understand your commitment to fostering a vibrant and sustainable community. Your strategic vision for 2023 to 2028, coupled with the overarching 2030 vision, clearly demonstrates your dedication to improving dedication to innovation, economic growth, and social inclusion. We recognize that Council is on a transformation journey, seeking to leverage AI to enhance service delivery, operational efficiency, and to empower its workforce. Your ambition to skill up, build confidence, and ensure effective delivery and handover of AI initiatives is a testament to your forward-thinking approach to people and place. So what the AI has done there, it's really used that customer's own language, you know, taken from the website, and then, you know, pulled that all together very, very quickly. Now, like Chris said before, like I will, and I have previously kind of before AI, spent a ton of time, you know, trying to figure out how I'm going to write an executive summary. I'm a little bit old school in that I still like to scribble things down and then find those synergies and then look at, you know, the customer's value and their objectives, our objective values, and then try and kind of meet those up. But, you know, we've been able to do that with AI within the space of about 20 minutes. So that's just a bit of an example really of how we can kind of leverage the tool to be able to create really compelling and customized content. And then you can just see there, so the second paragraph is all about how Transparity can help you solve your business challenges. So it's linking that first paragraph with, you know, the differentiators that we have as an organization. And the third paragraph is the overview of suggested solution. So that's, you know, what we're actually proposing. So it summarizes it in a really nice, succinct, short paragraph, like taking what we've put in our RFQ response and summarizing it there as well. So yeah, that's just kind of how we can bring executive summaries to life. Now, what I also want to do is I'm going to flip back again just to show you one more use case with a template. And again, this is kind of, you know, now moving back towards the ability to be able to use AI, not just to generate content and, you know, get that first draft completed quicker, but actually it's about improving the quality of your responses and ultimately helping you win more work. So, you know, whilst, for example, we can use and leverage AI to write a lot of responses, there may be times where, you know, you will not always be able to do that. You may have a new product you're taking to market. You may have a customer who's given, or you may have a customer who has a really unique requirement, which means that, you know, you still have to write that content for the first time, kind of by yourself. So what we have done is we've created a template within the tool to be able to take a customer's weighting criteria, so their scoring criteria, use that to then be able to provide feedback and insights in terms of how well you're scoring and how well you're responding to that particular customer. So here we've created the template, and sitting behind the template, we haven't got anything in the resource repository, but what we've done is in the source document here, we've just uploaded this particular customer's information and guidance for suppliers document that contains their scoring criteria. As the end user, you will type in the scoring scale that the customer uses. So in this case, it was a 1 to 5. And then you've got the RFP question being asked. So we've pasted in the question here, and then the answer to be scored. And again, we've pasted in the answer. So when we hit generate content, what the tool has done is it's looked at the definitions within this PDF, and then it's given us a score. So right now we're scoring a 3 out of 5, and it's given a justification for the score. So it's telling us why we're going to score a 3 out of 5. It's giving us strengths, but actually what, you know, I really want to focus on are the areas for improvement. So what it's saying to me is actually you're scoring a 3 out of 5 right now, but if you focus on these 3 points, you're likely going to bump your score up to a maximum 5 out of 5. Now, when we're especially working in the world of, you know, public sector or, you know, very procurement driven tenders, it's all about scoring those maximum marks. So, you know, we now have the ability to be able to not second guess what a customer may be thinking, when you're scoring content, but actually it's using that scoring criteria to be able to generate that. And then within the citations, you can see again that the tool has used that document to be able to generate that score. So that's just another use case there. Now we have a number of different use cases, but given the time that we had in the webinar, I just wanted to kind of very quickly highlight just a few that I thought were going to be the most relevant for you at the moment. And so now I'm just going to shift back to our deck quickly. And again, so yeah, just quickly kind of a bit of a recap. So the tool is really there to help you kind of save time and resources. It's secure compliance, so deployed within your own Microsoft tenant. It's all about enhancing those win rates and making sure that you've kind of putting forward the best quality responses. It's about creating custom content, so not just leveraging generic AI, but really kind of bespoking it to your own organization and your voice. And then that pay-as-you-go cost model. So I'm now going to hand over to Jodie just to very quickly talk you through a customer case study. Oh, you're on mute, Jodie.
Classic. I took control and then didn't forget that. I just said I'm going to speed through this one because I'm conscious of time. And actually, what I'm going to do is we have a full kind of blog on our website that details this in more detail. So I'll pop the link to that in the chat as well. So if you want more info, you can go there. But just really briefly, so we worked with a client called BMT, who are a maritime technical consulting firm, and we basically supported them with helping them to navigate their extensive global archive to help support them with new bid analysis and presentation. So due to the nature of BMT's work, they have a global footprint and they work on very confidential kind of naval defense projects. So they had really high security and compliance concerns, which highlighted the need for additional custom features above and beyond what we have is kind of out of the box with our solution accelerator. So we worked with them on both functional and technical kind of scoping sessions to really understand how we could meet their requirements by creating kind of more of a bespoke solution. So you'll see more information on the blog, but we created a kind of intelligent conversational agent, so that chat piece, actually enabling them to tag their content to help them build out that kind of content repository. It allowed them to be able to search to see have my peers in Australia, for example, worked on a similar tender, so that they could get those insights to help with responding to a similar tender, but also helping with that qualification piece. And then finally, once they've built the confidence in the solution, we're now working with them on more kind of AI-powered content generation features. And you'll see a really nice quote from the head of digital strategy here, just around how this solution is helping them to win new work, but also help to increase their productivity whilst maintaining and managing the data protection risks that are obviously inherent with some other platforms. I will touch on this quickly because there's been a few questions in the chat. So this is the underlying reference architecture specifically for BMT's solution. And the great benefit of the fact that this is kind of built using the services within Azure is that it's fully flexible and customizable based on your requirements. So, this has been tailored for other clients based on where their data sits within their organization and what additional kind of requirements they had. So the question in the chat around client relationship data linking in with a CRM system, being able to look at things like customer health scores, it's all possible. And that's why, going back to what I started with right at the beginning of this call, we really like to understand what you're trying to achieve, what your challenges are, what the opportunities are. We leverage this solution accelerator to help with that time to value, but also it can be extended to make sure it kind of meets your specific bespoke requirements. So I know we're on the hour, so I'm going to hand back to Gabby really quickly just to walk you through the next steps, but we are happy to answer any questions in the chat whilst Gabby's doing this too.
Awesome, thanks, Jodie. Yeah, so so the next step, so if you would like to have a further kind of demo or just see any of the additional functionality, please sign up for a 30-minute consultancy call where we can kind of review your requirements, but then also kind of, do a bit of a deeper dive in some of the use cases and some of the functionality of the tool. To be able to do so, just, if you send an email to contact@transparity.com, and we can kind of get that booked in with yourself. So, what typically happens after that 30-minute consultancy is that's when we kind of move into a deeper dive into both kind of functional and technical kind of scoping as well. But yeah, so that's everything that we wanted to cover today. We hope you found that useful. It's a really exciting time, I think, to be in bids. I think there's a lot of change, but I think, the change can be really impactful. We're hearing a lot from a lot of people that, we're being worked harder and harder as a kind of a profile within an organization. So I truly believe that AI can, support us and actually allow us to, deliver more meaningful work as bid and proposal managers. So yeah, thank you very much for your time, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.